Okay, let's start with the prayers. Om Sada Shiva Samao
Shankaracharya Madhyama
Asmadacharya
Vande Guru Paramparam
Saraswati
Namastubhyam
Varade
Bhavati
Om
Om Sahana Sahana Bhunaktu Veryam Karvavai Tejasvinavadhitamastu Dishavai Om Shanti Shanti Shanti
Vasudeve
Devendra Yogindram Nattva Jnanaparam Guru
Mukshunam
Hitardaya Tadbodhiyate.
Om Namah Shivaya.
Om Namah
Om
Shivaya.
Namah Shivaya.
Okay, so I hope you all remember this very famous chart now. We have seen it so many times. Okay, so we have the original consciousness, which is like the sun. We have the 6 mirrors, which are the reflecting medium, which are nothing but the body, mind, sense complex on the Jivatma side, and then the body of Ishvara, which is the Sthula Prapancha that we see, of course, backed by the Sukshma Prapancha and the Karana Prapancha. Right? So we have the 6 types of mirrors, and in these 6 mirrors, we will have 6 reflections. And this reflected consciousness, on the left side, when you take the composite entity, the reflected consciousness of the 3 mirrors is what we call the Jiva. And on the right side, the reflected consciousness is called as Ishvara or Paramatma. Okay. So now, last class we discussed in detail about all these things. So now we will look at the Sanskrit verses, what the author has to say about all this. So now remember that the Tattva Bodha author, he doesn't use the diagram we have used. Okay, he will be using Sanskrit words, which we now have to understand. It will be the same as what we have discussed in the diagram, but in a different representation of words. Okay, we can read this. Sthula Sharira Bhimani
Sthula Sharirabhimani
Jivanamakam
Jivanamakam
Brahma Pratibimbam Bhavati
Brahmapratibimbam Bhavati
Sa Eva Jivaha
Sa eva jivaha
Prakrutya Swasmat Ishwaram
Prakritya swasmat Ishwaram
Vinnattvena Janati.
Vinnattvena janati.
Okay. So the first line, the word Pratibimbam. The word Pratibimbam literally means reflected consciousness. Okay, Pratibimba is reflection. Even in Hindi, it is reflection, right? So Pratibimba means reflection. And what is this a reflection of? Brahma, meaning Brahman, OC. So the reflection of OC is what? RC, right? So this Brahma Pratibimbam is nothing but reflected consciousness, RC. So what is this RC? He's telling that this RC is named as Jiva. Jiva Namakam. Namakam means named. So this RC is called as Jiva. Why are we calling this RC as Jiva? Because Sthula Sharira Abhimani. It identifies with the Sthula Shariram. So this RC identifies with the RM. RC thinks it is the body, mind, sense complex. Now here, even though only Sthula Shariram is mentioned, we have to supply and understand that we are talking about all of the three bodies. Okay, because Sthula Shariram alone cannot identify with anything. Like a stone, right? Stone alone cannot have self-awareness. It cannot identify itself as a stone. It cannot, think also. So if the physical body, our human physical body has to think, what does it need? It needs the Sukshma Shariram. And Sukshma Shariram and Karana Shariram, they are, a package deal. So we don't try to separate them. So they go together. So even though it is not mentioned about Sukshma and Karana, we have to supply and understand that they are included in this. So Sthula Sharira Abhimani. Abhimani, I hope you remember the word. It is identification. So this Brahma Pratibhimbam, this reflected consciousness, what does it do? It identifies with the Sthula Sukshma Karana Shariram, the body mind sense complex. And then it is called as Jiva. It believes that it is Jiva. Okay, so the Jiva is nothing but this reflected consciousness which has falsely identified with body mind sense complex. Then sa eva jivaha, this jiva as described above, what happens to this jiva? This jiva, he thinks what? Swasmat ishwaram bhinnatvena janati. Swasmat or ishwaram bhinnatvena swasmat. This jiva thinks he is different from Ishvara. The jiva thinks he is different from Paramatma. So janati means to think or to know. Bhinnatvena is different. Ishvara is Ishvara. And swasmat is oneself, myself. So this jiva thinks he is different from this Ishvara. Why does he think that? Prakritya. Prakritya means by his own nature. What is his own nature? Of ignorance. So by his own nature of ignorance, he believes that he is different from Ishvara. Why? Why does he think he is different? Because all he sees are only the distortions. When you believe only perception, most of us before Vedanta, before the Shastra Pramanam, we had only the sense organs as Pramanam, right? We have only sense organs that give us the information or the input about the world. And when you look with your sense organs at the world, everything appears very different. I appear different from everything else, right? Now, this being the case, the jiva sees only the distortions and he doesn't understand. And this distortion, this distorted view of the distortions, it causes him misery. It causes confusion, pain, suffering. Okay, so if you ask, why does he see only the distortions? Because of his ignorance. And why is there ignorance? Because he sees only distortions. So it's like a vicious cycle. There is ignorance because he sees distortions. There is distortions because of his ignorance. Okay, so because of this nature of his, he sees only the differences between himself and the rest of the world, and he sees difference between himself and the Lord. And all of this causes suffering. What we call samsara. So I'm sure you've heard the word samsara. Samsara is nothing but a self-imposed limitation. Samsara is just an imagined sense of limitation. Why imagined? Because factually it is not there. The limitation, the sense of limitation, is only a notional limitation. It is not really there. And that is why samsara is a self-imposed limitation. Okay, now we'll see the next line. Avidyopadis san atma jiva ityuchyate mayopadis san
योपाधिसन्
ishvara ityuchyate.
ईश्वर
Okay, so now the author is talking about what happens with this RCOC. He doesn't use the words RCOC, so we have to understand and relate. So before we start that, there's a word here called upadhi. So we'll first understand this word and then we will come back and connect it. So the word upadhi means a conditioning agent. Those of you who have done TTC, it means limiting adjunct. It is described as limiting adjunct. Okay, they're the same thing, conditioning agent or limiting adjunct, limiting factor. So we'll understand what it means to be an upadhi. So first of all, we'll understand the example. So imagine there is a white crystal, like a diamond. Okay, there's a crystal and you just keep it there and say you put a red light on it. What happens to the crystal?
It
Starts looking red.
Yes, the crystal also starts looking red. Now, actually, has the crystal changed color?
No.
Has any structural change been done to the crystal so that it changes its nature or its
No.
color?
No.
No, it is still a diamond. If you take a diamond, even though it appears red under that light, it is still a diamond. It has not lost its value. It has not changed its color. It has not changed any structure, any chemical composition. Nothing has changed. It only appears to be red, right? So now this red color light is called the upadhi for the crystal because it conditions this crystal to appear differently. But we have to remember that there are three conditions for something to be called an upadhi. The first condition is that the two things, the two objects, the one that is being conditioned and the conditioning agent, both these two things, they must be in proximity. They must be close by. Again, the diamond and the light. If you keep them very far, will it have any impact on the diamond? No, right? The light does not affect the diamond if it is very far. So the proximity condition is the first condition. The second condition is that there must be some transfer of properties. So the red color of the light is now transferred onto the diamond. So the diamond takes on the red color property of the light. And the third condition is that this borrowing, this transfer of property is a false transfer. It is a borrowing. It is not a real change. Okay. So how do we know it's not a real change? Because the moment you separate them, the diamond is still a diamond. Nothing has changed. It is only for appearance, it appears red, but actually nothing has changed. So whatever transfer must have happened, it must be a false transfer. These are the three conditions for something to be called upadhi. Now with the diamond and the red light, are all the three conditions satisfied? Yes, they have to be close together. There is a transfer of some property, which is the red light in this case, And the third, it is a false transfer because actually the diamond is not changing. It only appears red because of the light. So three conditions, and that is why the red light is called upadhi and the white crystal is called upahitam. Okay, the crystal is called upahitam. The crystal is the item being conditioned and the upadhi is the conditioning agent, the one that factors in that conditioning. Okay, now coming back to Atma and body, mind, sense complex, all these things. What do you think should be the upadhi?
The sansara.
The body, mind, sense complex is
The body.
The body, mind, sense complex is the upadhi. In other words, RM is upadhi. RM is the upadhi. Okay. Why do we say that RM is the upadhi? Why do we say that body, mind, sense complex is upadhi? If body is upadhi, then what is upahitam in this case?
Atma.
Atma is upahitam. Okay, how? So first condition, what is it? They must be in proximity. They are of course in proximity, right? Because Atma is there everywhere. Atma is ever present, ever eternal, all these things. There is never any separation from Atma, right? Atma is there here and now also. And so there is, you cannot say they have a distance or they are separate. It's the most intimate thing, this Atma. It is the most intimate thing available. And so there is no separation. So the proximity condition is satisfied. Second, there must be a transfer of some attribute. And what is the transfer in this case? Any idea?
Ignorance.
The limitation in
Yes, sense of
space and
limitation
time.
is the transfer. Why? Because Atma by nature is what? Is infinite, eternal, all pervading, everywhere, right? So the Atma has no bounds. But this body mind, it thinks it has a boundary, right? And what does it do? It imposes that boundary on Atma. So the sense of limitation is imposed onto Atma. And what is the result? The result is that I am finite. The conclusion of this, which is a wrong conclusion, is I am a finite being. Actually, what is it? You are Atma, you are infinite. But now because of body, because of the upadhi body, what has happened? You have now accepted or believed that I am finite, I am limited, I have problems, I have only this much body and nothing else is me. So all this sense of limitation is born because of the body upadhi. The body mind sense complex acts as the upadhi, transferring this sense of limitation onto Atma. Then, is this a real transfer? Is has Atma really become finite?
No.
No,
Atma is still infinite.
It's a false.
Atma is still infinite. It is only a wrong perception. It is only a misconception, a wrong conclusion that we have drawn, but actually nothing has happened to Atma. Atma is as it is. Okay, so that is why what we call upadhi, what the author is calling upadhi, is the body mind sense complex. In other words, the RM. Okay, so what happens then if this is upadhi, this Atma over here is upahitam. Okay, Atma is upahitam. Then this upahitam is conditioned by upadhi and becomes Jiva. Okay, for example, we'll take the diamond and the red light example. What is the diamond in the example?
The Atma, Upahitam.
Yes, the Upahitam is diamond. What is red light?
It is the Upadhi.
Upadhi is the red light. What is the net result? A reddish colored diamond, right? Let us call it a ruby. Is it really a ruby?
No.
No, it is not really a ruby. It looks like a ruby. It is named, you can even name it ruby. But something called ruby in that example, is it there? In the context of that example, is there a ruby?
No, it's
No.
still a
What is
diamond.
there
No.
is a diamond
Still
and a red light, and the product is a red color appearing diamond, which we are falsely calling ruby, which we are falsely thinking it is ruby. But actually there is
अंडा नहीं खाएंगे अंडा नहीं खाएंगे हम नॉन वेज नहीं खाएंगे दादी नानी भी अब अंडा नहीं
I
खाएंगे
request everyone to stay on mute, especially if you have background noise. Please do remember all these things are being recorded, huh? Okay. So now we have a thing called a ruby, which is actually not really there. In the same way, what is here is that there is Atma. The Atma is conditioned by this body mind sense complex and believed to be finite. And this small finite entity is called as Jiva. So is the Jiva actually there? Is Jiva actually there?
No, it is a reflected consciousness.
Jiva is not actually there. Why? Because it is like that ruby. The ruby is not really there. It appears to be there, but not really there. Okay. So what is the RM for Jiva? Here the author has used the word avidya. Avidya means, here in this context, we have to take avidya to mean karana shariram. Okay, don't take avidya here at the literal meaning, which is ignorance. Here we are not taking the literal meaning. We are taking the technical meaning, which is the karana shariram. So with the RM of karana shariram, what happens? There is something called jiva, which is RC, and then there is Atma, which is OC. And when we say Karana Shariram, Avidya is Karana Shariram automatically includes Sthula and Sukshma Shariram, right? Because from the Karana Shariram, the other two are born. It is the seed for the other two. So when you say Karana Shariram, it automatically includes the other two. So when he says Avidya Upadhi, what he means is the Karana Shariram as Upadhi, which means what? All the three bodies as Upadhi. And what is the Upahitam? OC. And what is the result of this? Jiva. And if you want to put it in our language from the diagram, this Upadhi is nothing but RM, Atma is nothing but OC, and what we are calling Jiva is RC. Is this clear?
Yes.
Okay, so the Sanskrit words are Upadhi, Upahitam, and for us we are calling RM and OC. What is RM? The body mind sense complex. What is OC? Atma. And we have a false entity which is born called Jiva. Then, this is on the left-hand side of the diagram. I hope you remember on the Jiva side, the left-hand side, the first statement applies to that. The second statement applies to the right-hand side, the Ishvara side. the macrocosm side of the diagram. Now we are talking about that. Here also there is upadhi. And what is the upadhi called? It is called Maya. So Maya is the upadhi on the right hand side. And same, we have OC. It's not mentioned, but we have to supply. The same Atma OC will be here. And this RC is called as Ishvara. So the reflection in the Maya Upadhi is called Ishvara. The reflection in the Avidya Upadhi is called as Jiva. Okay? Any questions? Is it clear?
Meeraji, what does sun mean?
Sun is English is a grammar particle.
Oh, okay.
There is something that is that is sun.
Okay.
Metaji, I missed that on the macrocosm side, Upadhi is Maya and that is RC is?
Yes, RC is Ishvara or Paramatma.
Thank you.
Paramatma and Ishvara are the same. Yes. Is it clear? Are you understanding or is it confusing?
Very clear.
Okay. Please do be clear on this. If you have doubts, please ask the question, because this is one of the most crucial topics of Vedanta. It is the very crux, the very core of Vedanta. So if there is problem here and you have understood everything else, then it is not really understanding at all. So SPG likes to make a joke. He said that once a student came to him and he said, Swamiji, I have been studying Vedanta for 15 years and I have understood everything. I have understood all the different concepts. Just one thing I have not understood. What is Satya and Mithya? That's the only thing I have not understood. And so Swamiji laughs, saying that is the only thing to be understood. That is the main thing. So that is why this part of the study is very important. So if you have doubts, please do ask.
So RM 4, 5, and 6 are Maya.
Yeah, 4, 5, 6 are collectively together we call Maya.
Maya. Okay.
And Meeraji, so just to confirm, the meaning of this line Maya Upadhi San Ishvara Tyuchyate would be that the Upadhi of Maya is called Ishvara.
No,
Is that
the Upadhi called Maya, which conditions Atma, is called Ishvara. The result is called Ishvara. Or rather, what we call Ishvara is nothing but this Atma conditioned by Maya Upadhi. The definition being given is for the word Ishvara. Ishvara iti uchyate. Iti uchyate means this is called Ishvara. What is called Ishvara? This Upadhi, the Avidya Upadhi, backed by Atma. So when we understand, we have to understand that this Upadhi conditions Atma, and that is called as Jiva or Ishvara.
Thank you.
Okay. Let's read this now. Evam Upadhi Bhedat Ishvara Bheda Drishtihi Yavat Paryantam Tishtati Tavat Paryantam Janma Maranadi Rupa Samsaraha
Janma
न निवर्तते
निवर्तते
तस्मात् कारणात् न जीवेश्वरयोर्बुद्धि भेदबुद्धिः स्वीकार्य Okay. Evam, in this manner, upadhi bhedat, because of the differences in the upadhi. Upadhi, remember, is nothing but RM. So because of the differences in RM, because of the variety of bodies that we see in the whole world, we see a variety of different things, right? And they all appear to be very, very different things. Like one person is not the same as another person. But this is at the body level. If you compare the body or the mind, at this level, you will certainly find differences. So upadhi bhedat, because of the differences in the upadhis, because of the differences in the body, mind, sense complex, what happens? Jiveshwara bheda drishtihi. The jiva develops a bheda drishti. Bheda drishti means a vision that sees only differences. Okay, a vision, or he believes that there is only differences between what? Between Jiva and Ishvara. So the Jiva believes that there is a difference between himself and Ishvara. Now Ishvara, remember, we have discussed that this Ishvara, you can take it to mean God also, but this God is nothing but the whole universe also manifested. So the Jiva believes himself to be different from everything, including the rest of the world, and including this Ishvara, including God. He thinks I am different, God is different. He thinks I am different, other people are different. He thinks I am different, the world is different from me. And so there is a difference in the vision. Why? Because he is only focusing on the distortions produced by the reflecting media. As long as you focus only on the RM, you will see only the differences. So that is what the author says. Yavat paryantam tishtati. As long as it remains this way, as long as it is this way, what is this way? As long as it remains with this bheda drishti, with this differentiated vision, tavat paryantam, till then, janma maranadi rupa samsara na nivartate. So this samsaro na nivartate. As long as you have this bheda drishti, samsara cannot be eliminated. And all this suffering that we see in the world, what we usually blame samsara, like it is some mystical, magical entity hiding somewhere causing suffering. But what we call samsara is nothing but this wrong vision. The wrong vision is the cause of the suffering. The misconception is the cause of suffering. And this vision is nothing but a vision of differentiation, a vision of untruth, a vision of wrong conclusions. And as long as we have this wrong vision, till then the suffering will continue. Okay, that's what the author says. As long as there is Bheda Drishti, till then samsara will continue. You cannot hope to eliminate samsara with the wrong vision. So which means what? To eliminate samsara, what should we do? We have to get rid of this wrong vision. We have to get rid of this Bheda Drishtihi. Now, it is a very simple statement. It's a very simple understanding, right? If the problem is the wrong vision I have, then what is the solution? You tell me, what is the solution if the problem is wrong understanding or wrong conclusion?
It will be a
Change
wrong
the
conclusion.
understanding.
Yes, you have to make the conclusion correct. You have to make the understanding correct. If wrong understanding is the problem, then correct understanding is the solution. Right? I cannot simplify more than this. Wrong understanding, problem, correct understanding, solution. And this is what moksha is all about. This is why jnanat eva kaivalyam. Because the root of the problem is wrong understanding alone. And so the solution, the solving of the problem is only through the intellect, only through correct understanding. There cannot be any other solution. If you don't understand something, the only way you can fix it is by understanding it correctly. You cannot hope that meditation will solve your problem. You cannot hope that pranayama will solve the problem. You cannot hope that doing some kind of karma, any kind of action will solve the problem. None of those things will solve the problem. Only correct understanding will solve. But to help you, to facilitate you with the correct understanding, these other things may help. Meditation may help, pranayama, the different activities we do, they may help you to head in the direction of the correct understanding, but they themselves do not offer the ultimate solution. Okay, this has to be clearly understood, and this statement, this statement of from Tattva Bodha makes it very clear that correct understanding is the only solution. So there's another nice example, cataract. You've all heard of cataract in the eyes, right? So many times when the cataract is there, what should you do?
Get it operated.
What do they do in the operation?
They remove the layer.
The layer, yeah.
They remove that.
Change the lens.
Yes, they remove that cloudy layer, and then, then you are able to see. Can you say that they gave you vision?
The vision was always there.
Vision was always there. It was just temporarily blocked by something. What did you do? You just removed that impurity that was blocking, and then it was always there, right? The world also was always there. The vision also was always there. And now you can see clearly again. So what we call moksha is nothing but removing that impurity, removing that wrong notion. And then Atma was always there. It is not that you need to merge with Atma. It is not that you need to become Atma. Atma was always there, just like how the vision was always there, but you just couldn't see because of something, some impurity, some ignorance blocking that understanding. And the moment you remove that wrong notion, then Atma is self-evident, it is self-revealing, just like the vision and the cataract. Now, when the problem is me, my understanding, then the solution is also me and my understanding. But unfortunately, what do? We try to fix the world when we have a problem, right? We go around trying to change things in the world. We go around trying to sort out the world. But we must remember the world is not here for you to fix it. The world is not here for you to fix it. The world is here as infrastructure for your spiritual journey. This is something we have to understand very clearly, because many times a lot of us, we take responsibility for different happenings in the world. We think, I did this, I will fix it. Or this thing is happening, I will fix it. But you can try. But remember that there is no fixing the world. It is not your responsibility to be sorting out the world. Just like the cataract. If you have the cataract in your eye, just increasing all the lights in the room or trying to, change the outside things, that is not going to improve the vision, right? The problem is in the eye. The solution also is in the eye. Don't think that increasing the lights in the room is going to solve the problem. It doesn't. So this is something we have to remember. If the problem is me, the solution is also me. In this case, problem is the wrong understanding. And so the solution is also correct understanding. And how do I get that correct understanding? Through the study. So I have to study the scripture and then the correct understanding is revealed to me. So that's why the author says, Tasmat Karanat, for this reason, for the reason that if you don't alter this, for the reason that if you don't alter this vision, if you don't change your understanding, or if you don't see the truth, till then this samsara problem will continue. So Tasmat Karanat. So for this reason, Jiveshwara Bheda Buddhi na Svikarya. Between Jiva and Ishvara, don't accept any differences. Bheda Buddhi, the differentiated, the difference between these two things. Na Svikarya, do not entertain, do not accept that there is a difference between Jiva and Ishvara. The more distance there is between you and God, the more problems in life there will be. The less distance there is, the less problems. So as you know, you go closer and closer to God. There's no actual, physical moving closer, of course. But as you bring God more and more into your life, the problems in your life also will reduce. And finally, what is the ultimate understanding of Vedanta? That you and God are not different. When you are not different, what distance can there be between you and God? No distance. When you and God are one and the same, there cannot be any difference. And that is moksha. That is the solution to samsara. That is the freedom from all the problems of life that we have. Okay, that is why do not accept any distance, any difference between you and God. Okay, any questions? No questions? So whenever there's no questions, I get a doubt. Did you understand everything or did you understand nothing?
Oh, Medhaji, can you just repeat that statement you said about the world being the infrastructure? I didn't hear the complete sentence.
The world is not here for you to fix it. The world is here as infrastructure for your spiritual journey, for your journey to moksha.
Yeah. Thank you, Medhaji.
Medhaji, I have a doubt.
Yeah.
Medhaji,
Yes.
I have a doubt. This Atma Satyam, Jiva is Mithya, and the mirror is the Karana Sharira, a Sattva coated with Tamasa, that is Avidya. So who is looking at the mirror? Jiva is looking at the mirror. So if you remove the tamasic coating, make it pure Sattva, Jiva can see through, it will act like a transparent glass instead of a mirror.
No, then see, when you say that, that means there is something else to look at.
No, the thing is, Atma is not looking at the mirror. It's the Jiva which is looking at the mirror.
What is Jiva then?
Jiva is the combination of all the three bodies, that is the Karana, Sukshma, and Sthula.
Okay.
And the Karana Sharira is made of Sattva plus coating of a tamasic direction. So my question is, if you remove the tamasic coating, which is avidya or ignorance, can the Jiva realize it is Atma only?
Well, we cannot say it is looking. We can't say Jiva is looking at Atma, because then it kind of gives the idea.
We are giving the mirror example. So somebody is looking at the mirror.
No,
Who is looking at the mirror?
nobody
Atma
is
is not
looking at
looking.
the mirror. That is the example just to understand the idea of a reflection. What you need to understand is that you, whatever consciousness you are experiencing right now, that is the reflected consciousness. There is nobody else who is looking.
Meghaji, there's small request. I think, or somebody's mic is not mute, so we are unable to listen to you.
Yeah. We'll just, everyone, please go on mute, and only who is asking, you can ask and then go back on mute.
Yeah, one more question related to
Thank
that. Ishvara also will be having this obscurity of vision like Jiva,
No, Ishvara does not have.
but that is also enveloped by Maya.
Yes, but Ishvara is not, obscured in that way. Ishvara is not bound by the problem of samsara.
Thank you.
Om Megaji, this side Amit. Megaji, I just wanted to understand one thing, like you were talking about Upadhi, and we were talking about uh, conditioned Ishvara and conditioned Jiva. So conditioned Jiva I understood. Conditioned Ishvara I'm not able to understand. So are we talking about from my or Jiva perspective of seeing the universe, or it is from which perspective we are talking about conditioned Ishvara?
The whole creation, and remember that creation is not just this planet or what you see around. Creation is earth, not just earth. This whole universe that we, whatever little we know of it, that much and much more also. All the lokas that the scriptures talk about, all the different, the whole aspect of creation, not just what we know. There is much more beyond what we know also.
So do I understand like this, like we are conditioned with avidya and upadhi, so Ishvara or universe is also conditioned with some ignorance?
No.
So this is from my perspective of seeing the Ishvara that is conditioned, correct?
Yes, the jiva has the problem of samsara because of ignorance.
Is ignorance. Okay, got it. Thank you.
Yes, just a minute. Yes, Anjali. Yes, Anjali.
Sorry, I was speaking, I was on mute. Yeah, I get confused in this idea when we say that the world is not here for us to fix it. And then I think about dharma and I'm not able to understand how to implement both together.
You can try to help the world. We don't say that, don't help the world or don't become indifferent to the world. We do try to help with compassion. But the main thing, what we are saying is remove that kartrutva bhava, the feeling of doership, that I am responsible for the burden of the world. You are not. The world has been here long before you. It will continue to be there long after this Anjali body. So that is not your responsibility. You have to develop the attitude of karma yoga. You do the things, but understand that it is not you alone who is responsible for how things turn out. But it is your duty in certain situations to act or to help or to do certain things, and you have to do those things. But the best attitude is karma yoga. Ishvara arpanam, Ishvara prasada.
So I guess we can just do our best. That is
You
what we
always have to do your best.
Hmm.
And whatever happens next, that is not your concern. And remember, the most important thing that you have to focus on when you act is your spiritual inner growth. That is the attitude of a karma yogi. The karma yogi values the inner growth the most. That doesn't mean that you do wrong things or immoral, illegal things. No, it doesn't mean that you hurt others. No, you still act with compassion in the world. But the main thing is your inner growth.
Thank you.
Medaji, Jiva seeing Ishvara in other Jiva will be humble, while if Jiva thinks he is nothing different from Ishvara, no gap, then he may become egoistic and ahankara may grow.
Yes, this question does come up, the question of arrogance, that if I say I am God, is that not arrogant? But when you say I, who is the I? And when you say God, who is God? If you don't define
Everything is Atma, that is, if it is clarity of vision, that is correct.
then there
But
is
in
no
the domain of the ignorance, the ahankara is likely to grow, then not.
No, that is the point. That if you are saying the statement, I am God, with reference to the body and with reference to God as some superpower entity, then it is a problem. But if you are saying, I am God, knowing that there is actually no difference between me and God, you have completely eliminated this body of yours from that equation. And then you say, I am God. What ignorance can there be? Can there be any ignorance? Sorry, can
The
there
avidya is there, ignorance will be there.
no. Can there be any arrogance? I meant arrogance. If there is
Should not
only
be there.
one entity, what arrogance is there?
Nothing.
Arrogance is a sense of superiority over other things, right?
Yeah.
The sense of superiority is only available when you have two things. One should be superior, one should be inferior. But when you don't have two things, when there is only one thing, what arrogance, what superiority?
No Ishvara also.
No Ishvara also.
Yeah. So that is ultimate, but till then it will be there.
Then it is not a correct approach. Then you have to reevaluate. If you are a sincere seeker, you have to reevaluate what is
No,
going
so long as Ishvara is stated, and so Jiva, the gap is less, still there is the two entities, then it is not Atma, Atma is not realized, then the inflated ego will be there.
Then you have to handle that. That is
Yeah,
why
better to look upon others as Ishvara than one's own.
that is why we have the concept of bhakti, surrender, all these things, right? To reduce that inflated ego.
I agree.
Yeah. Once that ego is reduced, and then you really see, then you really understand, and then you say, with total clarity, you say, I am God. There is no arrogance in that statement.
Yeah,
Ignorant
that is
ones
correct.
say that with statement, with arrogance.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, Rinku?
Oh, Meeraji, I just need some clarification. We say that the jiva is the atma conditioned by avidya. So avidya here would be taken as the tamasic aspect of Maya over here.
No, it
And
is
secondly,
bodies.
Sorry?
Avidya is the three bodies. Karana, Sukshma, Sthula.
Then when we mention Ishwar plus Maya, then Ishwar will also be conditioned by the three bodies then?
Is the equation Ishvara plus Maya? What is Ishvara equal to?
Ishwara here would be the, that is what I was getting confused again.
Ishvara is equal to Maya plus Brahman. Maya or Brahman conditioned by Maya. Maya Sahit Brahman.
True, I agree. So what is the difference between Brahman conditioned by Maya and Brahman conditioned by avidya?
It is just the micro and the macro.
But then is that to say that Ishwar would also be having the three aspects, tamasic, rajogun and sattva?
As long as Maya is there, the three aspects will always be there.
In present in Ishvara also, then how is it that then therefore what there would be essentially no difference between a jiva and an Ishvara then?
See, when you compare the scale of it, the macro and the micro are always different in terms of scale, right? But if you, when we spoke about the Panchabhuta being formed, we have discussed that what we call body and what we call the rest of the universe, everything is made up of the Panchabhuta. They share that common composition that is there. But when we compare from the point of view of Atma, There also, that also it is, we say it is same.
But don't we also say that we pray to Ishvara because essentially Ishvara has all the sattva guna present in him. We are praying to that, and we are trying to become, we try to move up the ladder. So we try to reach the, from the microcosm to the macrocosm. We try to obtain all those divine qualities. Is that
Obtaining
not what
divine
we are trying
qualities
to do?
is okay, but that does not mean that Ishvara does not contain Rajas and Tamas. I think somewhere
But
you have this idea that Sattva is good and everything else is bad.
no,
No.
it is not about bad. It is just that the other qualities that we say, that more, that is what probably we have been told to understand. The higher the sattva, the, because sattva means knowledge, happiness. So there is more knowledge. So there is more understanding. That is what we have been, I mean, that is what my understanding is. So
Not that
that
these
is,
things are good or bad, or we cannot make blanket statements about Sattva, Rajas, Tamas. They're good or bad. We cannot say that necessary, unnecessary. Everything is there for a reason. But what the Shastra tells, when it tells that you have to develop more of Sattva Guna or more of those qualities, it's that this is what is conducive for your jnanam, for your assimilation. It is like if you are let us say you're an Olympic athlete and you're on a diet of ice cream. Is that a very conducive thing for your
no, that
game?
is what, no.
Yes, you are put on a different diet, a more nutritious diet, a diet suitable for your this thing. Does that mean ice cream is bad or certain, other things are bad? They are available, but they may not be conducive. That is all.
Okay, thank
So,
you.
Medaji,
That we call good or bad, you have to understand they're only from the point of what is your goal, from the point of whether it is conducive to what you are trying to achieve. In our case, we are trying to walk the path of karma yoga, leading to jnana yoga, leading to moksha. And so everything the scripture tells, all this vegetarian food, develop the daivi qualities, daivi sampatti, all these things, they're only from that point of view.
So it is for Chitta Shuddhi essentially, right? We are striving for Chitta Shuddhi. So Sattva, to move towards Chitta Shuddhi, is to move towards the more sattvic aspect of gunas that develop in you, is it not? So that Gyan Yogita, we become Gyan Yoga, and then we can assimilate the Brahma knowledge, which is Brahma Vidya, which is being given to us. So Sattva therefore becomes an important a qualification to have Brahma Vidya, is it not?
It is, but that doesn't mean that we can eliminate rajas or tamas.
No, that stays, but predominantly it will become sattvic, right?
Yeah.
All right, thank you.
Medaji, may I ask a question?
Yeah.
Yeah, but if Jiva and Ishvara both have the same qualities, then I can't understand how Jiva is bound by problems of samsara, but Ishvara is not.
Ishvara is not bound by samsara.
Yeah.
Does
So that
Ishvara have the karma, bound by karma? No, Ishvara does not. Ishvara does not do karma, does not reap the benefits of that karma also.
okay.
Yes, Ankita.
Thank you.
Vedaji, you said the world is not here to fix you, it is just here to infrastructure for your spiritual journey. So, whatever obstacles or whatever problems we get, that is just, it comes to us to evolve us in this journey. Is that me?
Yes, you are supposed to perceive them as a help for your spiritual growth, provided you are a spiritual seeker. If you are not a spiritual seeker, the rest of the world perceives the problem as a problem, right? But you, as a spiritual seeker, should see every problem as an opportunity for growth.
And once we have this clarity about the Jiva and Atma and God, which is all the same. So when we deal with the, like in Vyavharik situations, when we deal with the people, we still have argue and we still have disagreements. And but they people see us like we should accept everything and we should not argue.
Being a Vedantic, being a Jnani doesn't mean you become a doormat and you let everyone walk over you. You still have a role in the world. You still have responsibilities in the world. If you are a mother, even if you are a Jnani mother, Sometimes you have to discipline your child, right? You have to scold the child. You have to tell, no, this is the wrong thing to do. Don't do this. You have to discipline. Does it mean that just because you're Jnani, the child will do whatever and you are okay with it? No.
So people see us in that. Like
Let
they
them see, however, you have to have the correct understanding. I am not worried about what other people think. I am here for your understanding only. How they perceive is their problem. Once they come here to the class, then, then we can do something about it.
Thank you.
That is why I said
May
I'm
I,
not here for you to fix. You are not here to fix anyone's perception or anyone's vision of how they see things or how they see you. What they think is their problem. Even if it is thoughts about you, it is still their thoughts. Therefore, not your problem. Okay? Yes.
Mehtaji, instead of contemplating on Ishvara, can one contemplate on Maya, wish that it moves aside to reveal Brahman? Direct shortcut method.
Maya cannot be moved aside like that. It doesn't move. Even after moksha, the world will continue to exist. Everything that you see will continue to be here. But what has changed is your understanding, your vision. So the
But
only
the
thing
Sri Vidya Upasakas tend to feel like that.
are we Sri Vidya Upasakas? You can only
I
follow
mean,
one.
there are many. There are many like that. That's why I'm asking.
I know there are many. See, it is like, you open Google searching for a khichdi recipe, how to make khichdi. Okay, and you will find 20 different recipes. Can you follow all of them at once? You'll end up with a real khichdi if you do
No,
that.
this is just this is just a theoretical question. Which
Yes.
path could be shortest path?
Once you have chosen a recipe to follow, you cannot bring in another recipe, another recipe, another recipe. You have to stick to the recipe. Then you will get a good meal out of it. If you mix multiple recipes, if you try to follow 5 recipes at a time, it's going to be a problem. You will not end up with anything edible. In the same way, in spiritual field also, once you have chosen a particular, you can do enough research. You can explore around initially, look around, see what is appealing to you, see what is making sense to you. And once you find that thing, once you stick with it, you have to stick with it completely.
No, I didn't mean in that way. What I meant
I
was
understand.
whether Maya, there is a way to push aside Maya somehow.
All the other schools have different ideas about what is Maya, what is Prakriti. The Sankhya school has a different idea. The Sri Vidya school has a different idea. But initially, we have to close our vision to all of that, focus here. Once the foundation here is strong, then you can look at that and then you can dismantle that and see the loopholes there.
Okay.
Yes. Okay. Last question, Rinku, and then we'll stop.
Oh, Medhaji, when we have started with the festival of Navratra. So essentially, there is first question: what are we actually praying to? And secondly, with response to the previous thing that you said, when we are praying essentially to any other Bhagwan or anything, essentially we are praying to we are praying to Brahman only, because that is only lending consciousness to the Ishvara. So these two things I wanted clarification.
In the initial stages, prayer is a very necessary part of your journey. You cannot give it up. And so that is why, we are encouraged to pray, to do pujas, to do worship, to do different things. In the initial stages, you have to go through that because you require a support. The mind needs a support, like a child.
Right,
When
to
the
latch
child
on to.
cannot
Yes.
walk, it will take the support of the wall and the furniture and take everyone's support and walk for a few days. Once it is independent, does the child require any more support? No, it will walk by itself. Till you gain that complete assimilation in Jnanam, you require the support of bhakti in the form of Saguna bhakti, in the form of all the different deities and pujas and all these things. So take the support. There is no harm in that. But remember that the ultimate goal is not to get stuck here. We have to move past this. That is
right. Thank you.
all. Okay, so stop for the day. Om
Purnamada
Amidam
Purnamidam
Purnat
Purnamudachyate
Namadaya
Purnamadaya Purnameva Vasishyate Shanti
Om Shri Guru
Tat
Namaha.
Shri Tat Sat
Sat.
Om Namah Shivaya.
Om Namah
Om
Shivaya.
Namah Shivaya. Thank you.
Thank you, Medaji.
Thank you
Thank
so
you,
much.
Medaji.
Thank you.
Thank you, Medaji.
Medaji.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you, Medaji.